Welcome back to Glydecast. I am your host, not Valifor, and with me is 1H.
Hey there.
And we got Legendary Griffin.
Hey.
And then we have the actual Valifor.
It's a me again.
Oh, yes.
This is episode 3, The Birth of Glyde. Today we are going to talk about the very start of Glyde the Dragon. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about some news here. So starting off, 1 HP challenge gets insane. 1 HP!
We have this mod going on, and I think we also talked about it in the last episode.
Yes, we did.
But now we tried doing it in the actual demo level, and it's pretty tough. It's
The last time we talked about this, Val, you were basically saying, like, it's not possible. No one can complete the game with only 1 HP. Technically, it can be done.
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes. Which is very funny. Because we did this, 1H and I, we actually did this shortly after the last recording. And obviously, 1H just plowed through it, and I was, limping behind him, trying to catch up. But, I mean, we pretty much did. I mean, I haven't completed the Blight Guardians yet, but you have.
Yeah, I beat the first one, and then was like, I couldn't be bothered to do it again.
Yeah, because you spent so much time.
Yeah, it's very difficult, especially if you forget to remove, like, you have to deal with the enemies there first, and then if you miss a spawner, then during the battle you can just have a random enemy spawn on you, and if they hit you, you die. And you also have to deal with the boss's attacks and the corruption. So it's like, you have when the Blight Guardian puts up a shield and maybe does the meteor attack, you have to get rid of the shield, because otherwise it's going to use immobilize on you. And nature is not very good at getting rid of that shield, so you have to switch to, like, fire element, do volcanic wrath, and then immediately switch back to nature before you run out of health.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's like that's a way to get rid of the shield a little faster, but it's very risky. And the same, like, if you find yourself surrounded by incoming projectiles or something like that, you can't just dodge. Like, you have to either time those invincibility frames, or you have to switch to lightning really quickly to sap dash and then back to nature, or switch to water and use the oceanic shield and then back to nature again. Like, you can't switch to any other element for more than like half a second, otherwise you just die from the corruption. And if you do it repetitively, like if you switch back and forth, you don't recover the health from like nature's healing fast enough. So you have like a cooldown between being able to switch elements to anything other than nature when doing this challenge, and fighting in the corrupted areas.
Now let's mention, because we talked about on the last episode, that going through the corruption with 1 HP is not possible, and it isn't possible. So what we did is we basically played the whole game, got all the elements with 1 HP, and then after that we got the individual pieces of armor, which gives you extra 50 health.
Yeah.
So then you're at 151. Now that isn't cheating, because that's the only way that you can get into the corruption. However, still, if you get hit once, you're dead. It takes more than 150 damage. Yeah,
usually most enemies deal more than 150 damage, so maybe you can survive one hit from, I think the mage fireball only deals 100 or something like that, so...
Yeah, you'll survive that.
Yeah. Wait, also the fire mage, because the fire mage has the fireball, which I think it only deals 75 and then burn damage over time. So you can survive the hit, but if you don't switch to nature, then you die from burn damage.
Right.
Or switch to fire. That's a new trick, by the way, from a few patches ago. If you get hit with something like lava, or you get hit by fire mage's attacks, and you catch the burn debuff, you can switch to fire to actually remove that now.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what about patch updates? Anything for patch updates? Stuff that's coming up, or stuff that's been done?
In the recent patches, we tried to work a bit more on figuring out what we wanted with nature element. So, Field of Thorns has gotten some changes. Now it's less of a stun, but it's more like it roots enemies and places like this energy charge on them. It's kind of like a debuff.
It's like a stacking debuff. So you stack it. You can stack it multiple times, and then it deals extra damage. Plus, it's like a small AOE, right? Explosion. Where if there's multiple enemies with multiple stacks of the debuff on them.
They're really close.
You can hit a lot of enemies with those explosion stacks, and they can also be used to like prolong the combos and stuff. So that's quite.
Yeah, if you have a stag on an enemy, you can also detonate it with Life Siphon and get a different knockback angle. Like it knocks enemies up instead of just pushing them away slightly from Life Siphon. So you can start a combo now with Life Siphon.
I think that was also the patch where we did. It was quite experimental, but it seems like it actually worked, like the optimization. So it seems like we figured a way. I mean, basically, we had to rework the way that all the collectibles crystals are actually working and spawning in the level. We were a bit worried that it's gonna mess up the saving system again, but it seems like it actually works fine. I mean, for people who haven't, who still have their old saves and they haven't cleared their save data, it might be that those crystals will reappear, but they will reappear only once, and once you pick them up, they will disappear again once you save.
So if you never clear your save, then you can get more crystals than everyone.
So that's the only issue, that some people would end up with more crystals than intended technically. But on the other hand, the crystals are farmable and they are so there's no limit to them. So
if you keep playing bonus arenas or like.
Well, I mean, we would still suggest clearing your save because to avoid any kind of weird issues and bugs, and obviously. It will be good to clear the save when the actual demo, the full demo is out, so everyone can start from the same point.
So it's all fresh.
I was thinking about that. Maybe we should clear the saves somehow. Like if we detect the save from pre-actual demo build, and then we just clear it anyway.
Yes,
we might do that, so it's fair for everyone. But I mean, other than that, there's no other like issues really. And it turns out that after the rework of how crystals are actually spawned and everything. We gained like literally massive performance boost, which is like around 10-15 frames on most machines, which is actually insane.
Yes, that's quite big.
It's really good. So like I can run Glyde on my computer. Even though my computer is quite powerful, it was still struggling on highest resolution because I got a 2K monitor, 1440p, and I was running Glyde on epic settings, and it was hovering between like it was in about 40 FPS. With some drops and stuff, but now it's pretty much stable 60 all the time, which is really good. And I also hope that it will also be the case in the slower machines. I haven't been able to test on a weaker laptop yet, but I will do that. From what people were saying, everyone has seen some form of improvement anyway.
Right.
So
absolutely,
it's really nice.
So it feels good. I think you said 1H that you could you getting like stable 40 now, and before it was around 30. I think you said
below 30 sometimes, but now it's like it prefers being around 40 on
Same
Epic.
Here,
Nice.
So it's better.
Good.
One other update that I noticed, and wanted you put but you put multiple enemies in the training room. You can select up to 5.
Yes, there's that new option.
Thank you.
No problem.
Because that I like that. I really like that. Until you scroll over and select all 5 mages, then I'm like,
that's on you if you want to do that. Like that's.
But I've been actually testing that out with the swordsman, and actually I found out nature is a really good element. I never liked nature, but now you can do some solid combos with nature.
You can kind of lock down enemies, and you can deal a lot of damage to shields, but then when shields are broken and everything's said and done, it actually doesn't deal that much damage, but it's still good for combos.
It is.
I think this is one of the things about the elements as well, is that they are very versatile. And a lot of people don't even realize like what you can do with certain elements, and that they actually might be good against some tough enemies. Like a lot of people have been struggling with swordsmen, for example, thinking that the shield is a bit too powerful and stuff, but actually
it breaks really fast.
If you try different things, you might find out that, you know, just one well-timed meteor can actually allow you for that one kind of hit kill in a way. I mean, well, it will break the shield, and it will actually keep him stunned, long enough.
Yeah.
I mean, with that said, though, I think we did actually. Did we?
We increased the stun duration.
Yeah. We increased a little bit of a stun duration, and we made the shield a little bit weaker, I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
So because sometimes, especially when there's multiple swordsmen or like shielded enemies, yes, they did feel like, you know, they were regaining their shield a little bit too quick. So they should be just a tiny bit easier now.
Yeah, the same has happened for the mage. Like,
for the mages,
there's a small delay before it actually starts to fall.
So they are slightly easier now, but still, I mean, the logic behind the mage is that, you know, this enemy, it is intended to be an aerial enemy, and you are meant to get rid of them in the air. So if you drop them on the ground, they will regain the shield, and that's intended. And even though it might be a little bit annoying sometimes because you don't know that actually, you know, they are purely an aerial enemy. Once you actually manage to, you know, keep them in the air with your combos, then you will find out that actually they are quite easy to kill.
Yes.
So and
that's
the
when
idea.
When people unlock fire element, and if they use any fire abilities on them, even the fire mage actually suffers from burn damage. So you can hit them with some fire attack, like one of the special moves, and even if they recover the shield, they still take damage while shielded.
Yeah, so like fire damage kind of goes through the shield as well. So there's a lot of small little things that, you know, I mean, I suppose they are getting, you know, taking some time to actually find out, because there's a lot of them. But, you know, I don't think combat is as hard as it might appear when you start the game. After you play a little bit, then you'll find out that actually, you know, it's quite. Yeah, I'm quite happy with this state of the combat at the moment. To be honest.
Me too. I feel like after a few hours, people kind of pick up on especially shielded enemies. Like, first time they face them, it's like, oh,
dragon fruits.
This enemies is like really
impossible
hard.
To beat. Yeah,
impossible. Yeah. But then they figure out that certain moves have like a greater effect on shield, and then when they use those, they can begin to stack on damage, and, you know, time when they have to deal, like, dish out all of the damage. When the shield breaks, that's when you go ham. Yeah.
The thing is as well is that you know, a lot of people are jumping into this game thinking it's like Spyro, where everything will probably just die in one, you know, you can just spam square and everything will die in like one combo or something. So that's not true. Yes, the melee attacks are important because they help you recover the flame bar to actually use your special abilities, but the main key element of the combat is actually using those special abilities as your main source of damage. So, you know, if you're thinking that it's gonna be like Devil May Cry, where you can deal, you know, significant amount of damage with just your melee attacks, then that's not gonna be the case with Glyde, because that's why we got those cool, powerful abilities to make use of them. Yes. So I think it's just people just need to get used to the combat system, and they just need to get used to actually using the abilities and not saving the mana, or, you know, there's no like massive cooldowns on pretty much any abilities or anything. You know, you are mostly limited by your flame bar. So it's like, just, you know, just use the abilities. That's why they are there for, and, you know, they're meant to help you in combat, and they're your main source of abilities.
It's the primary way to deal damage.
Exactly. So melee attacks and melee combos are still handy, and they're still very important in combat. And I mean, you can still defeat pretty much all enemies just using melee attacks. It's just going to take you longer, and it might appear that they're not taking a lot of damage, but that's because, you know, especially if they're having a shield. You know, if you're gonna have someone behind the shield and you try to attack them with your fist, it's like, why are they not caring about it, you know, like. So you
may want to use the sword instead of only kicking.
But yeah, so while we are ready to kind of do any adjustments and fix any kind of issues, if a lot of feedback, if there's let's say a lot of feedback about a particular enemy type and that it appears to be like broken or overpowered and stuff, obviously yes, we'll take a look at that. But I think in terms of the combat itself, I think it's quite well balanced at the moment, and I think it's just a matter of getting used to it and. And if it still appears to be too hard for some people, I guess just get good.
That's basically what one just keep on telling me is get good.
Yes, get good. I mean, the normal enemies might be a little bit on the tanky side, but you can definitely dish out a lot of damage with certain abilities. Like Blazing Impact in Fire Element just eats so much health, and if you also apply Burn debuff and start hitting them with other stuff as well, it just accumulates much faster. Yeah, it starts accumulating way faster than one might think. Like a normal zombie, you can kill a normal zombie as fast as, for example, lightning column strikes. So if you place a lightning column and then you start to do like a small combo and then Blazing Impact right when lightning column strikes them, that's death. Like, and that's probably like 5 seconds. Yeah, 5 to 7 seconds ish. It's very fast if you just know what you're doing.
Yeah. Right on. So yeah, practice makes it perfect, I guess. Just just learn. There's training room for the reason as well. So
yes, there's a lot of.
So don't give up.
A lot of tools. Yeah, never give up.
All right. Sanctum NPC update. You want to talk about that, or is there not much to talk about?
I mean, so in terms of the NPCs for Patreons, obviously a lot of people have put in their requests. I mean, those who are eligible for the NPC have put in their requested, like, NPC kind of model that they want to use, and then what they want them to say and what they want them to do. We had quite a lot of responses, so that's really good. So I mean, if you're a Patreon and you are supporting the tier that gives you an NPC in the Hall of Heroes, or we call it Sanctum of Heroes now, NPC, then you can make a post in the appropriate forum posts on Discord, and then your NPC will be put in the demo. I mean, and also a lot of people have actually been asking and wondering if it's still possible to get an NPC. And the answer is yes. I mean, we are not going to be closing this reward until the demo is actually finished and ready. Once the demo is actually pushed out to Steam and people can be playing it, that's it. Then, no more NPCs will be added. So yeah, while you can, if you want to get it, you can get it now. Because later, when everyone has the access to the demo, then it's not going to be possible to put any more NPCs in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
So you got time. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, we've still got some time.
So next one here I want to mention is another podcast. So Glyde was recently mentioned in the World of Dragons podcast. So I just want to give out a shout out to Wattpod or World of Dragon podcast.
Yep.
I've actually been I actually found out about it when you put up the Twitter post that they mentioned Glyde. They did a smaller review of Glyde on their show, and I was like, wait a minute, what? There's another one? And they've been going on since 2021. Yeah, and I was like, oh,
really nice.
I was quite surprised as well when they reached out to me and they said that they have like Dragon podcast. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then they did the review of obviously it's kind of like a first impressions. Like podcast. And yeah, I mean, I listened to it. It's really cool. They mentioned some valid I mean, obviously they praise Glyde a lot, which is really nice to hear. That they kind of enjoy the demo so far, and even though there's still a lot to do, or at least the version that they have, is quite old now, and obviously it's not full with content that the full demo will be. It's still good to hear that they kind of like what we have, in the current version. And there's also a lot of valid feedback in terms of some combat and stuff. So obviously we are looking into everything, and yeah, overall, I mean, I was surprised with like a lot of. I wasn't surprised because I know Glyde is a good game,
Yes.
but it just kind of reaffirmed me that we are doing the right thing because their feedback was really good.
Generally positive.
Yeah. And while obviously there is some things that could be better, it's not major issues or anything, which is also good.
Yep.
And so I mean, thanks for doing this, and I hope you will like the full version of the demo and the full game when it's ready.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I actually joined they have a Discord server. I joined the Discord server, and I've been talking to all three of them quite a lot, and they're great people. I've been listening to their show, and I will point out for certain people, their show is considered explicit. They do swear a lot, which is fine. That's one thing I didn't want to do on this show because of the audience selection. But just quick warning: there's explicit, but it's not bad or anything. It's really good content.
It's just occasional swear word here and there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. If you're an adult, you'll be fine, and if you're not an adult, then maybe.
Yeah.
Just warning for your kids or anything like that. If you're listening with kids nearby, it is the language. It's explicit because of language.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, big shout out to World of Dragons podcast. I will have the link to the show in the description.
Awesome.
And next is it's been 1 year since the creating of Koyde. March 22nd, 2022.
Wow.
So, Shaggy,
Woo.
yeah,
Boy.
what is Koyde? Please explain to the audience.
Not everyone might be on the meme.
Koyde is a koi fish, hence the name Koyde, because instead of an I, just like Glyde, it's a Y, so Koyde. Koyde is a koi fish. So basically, I think I've explained before, I work with koi ponds and water features. I run the maintenance department on that. And we were cleaning out a pond, and there was a fish that had the same colors as Glyde.
It's basically Glyde's reincarnation as
so
that's a koi fish.
It's a really big fish. It's like 30 inches long. It's a really big fish.
Big
and
boy.
I took a picture of it and I put it in the group chat just as a joke. It's like, hey, here's Glyde in a koi form. And it basically blew up where now he has his own name, he has concept art, he has an emote. I don't know. It's just
he's a canon character in the universe, but this point, basically.
Yeah, so March 22nd, 2022.
Glyde's to the main enemy will be Koyde, actually, because he'll turn to the dark side.
Oh no, the evil koi fish. Glyde and the evil koi fish. That's like a side story.
Like, you dragons always kept us underwater.
Oh man.
Give us the power of the water element now or else. Then they
Oh my gosh.
pick out a Glock from
Oh, come on.
from the pond.
So, with some enhancements, Koyde was originated in 2022, and 1 year on a Wednesday. This show gets released on the 24th. It'll be Koyde's 1 year anniversary.
Wow.
And
long live Lord Koyde. How old? How long do koi fish live?
oh gosh, this koi fish right now. I mean, it's hard to say how old it is, but it's probably 10 or 15 years old right now.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, they can get pretty old.
They can live 20 to 30 years.
Oh, nice. So he can outlive me, maybe. So okay.
Whoa.
Bro.
That's dark. I mean, I'm not going to die. Hopefully, I'm not planning to, at least.
I never thought that this meme, this joke, would have actually turned into something, and I am so grateful that it did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
We like memes.
And now the Koyde emote is posted every single day across the whole server. I love it.
It's perfect. we need more Koyde.
Next thing on the news is we have made an official Glydecast Twitter and YouTube account. So please follow us on Twitter and also subscribe to YouTube. I will be putting the video version of this show on the YouTube channel, and as well I'll be doing some Twitter stuff as well, every time there's a release.
Yes.
So definitely follow us on those. As well as, of course, Glyde the Dragon. You've got to subscribe to Valley for and follow Glyde the Dragon as well on Twitter. You should do both, not just one.
Yep.
Join us.
Okay. Yeah. One of us.
One of us.
All right. And on to the main topic.
Yes.
This main topic, like mentioned before, is basically the beginning, the very start of Glyde the Dragon. So these questions are going to be related to the very, very start of it. Question 1.
Fire away.
You explained why you wanted to create an original IP, but what was the process of starting it? What were your inspirations?
I mean, so here, again, we look back at Spyro. That's probably like the first main inspiration behind Glyde. Obviously, you play as a dragon, have access to a lot of different elements, which is quite cool. But in terms of like the idea for the game and how I want the actual game to kind of look and feel, the main games that I think I use as inspiration are Final Fantasy series. Like Final Fantasy 15 is a big one for me. That was like one of my favorite ones. Even though it was underwhelming in certain aspects, I think in terms of like the grand kind of design and scale and the big summons that you can do in that game, like the whole kind of cinematic aspect of it is really one of the things that also inspires me. In terms of the layout of the world and like the style of the world as well, like the stylized style, but also like the mood that's gonna be in the world. I would say the biggest inspirations are probably games like World of Warcraft, like the overall design like of Azeroth, like the whole world, like different zones, and they're all different biomes and colors. This is what we kind of want to aim for in Glyde as well. Where if you're gonna have like 8 different elemental regions to explore, we want to make sure that they're all different, but they're also not just this is just a generic lava region and this is just a generic ice region. We want all the regions to be separated into zones, almost like in World of Warcraft. Let's say you have a desert zone in WoW. That desert zone will be well, maybe not the zone. That desert area will be actually separated into 3 or 4 different zones, smaller zones, and they all have a different theme, and they also look somewhat unique. So even though you're in big desert, there's 4 different sub zones in there that are all different. So when you travel from one to another, you get that bit of a fresh kind of experience. So this is what we want to do with Glyde as well, where if you travel to, let's say, an ice region, one of the zones, it can be like a snowy, quite a big snowy open area, like a wasteland. But then another whole zone, it could be located inside like a big, massive, like a glacial cave. So everything will be like actual, like ice rather than snow and stuff, and that will have a different feel to it and everything.
Maybe you also have like a coastline or something.
Yeah. So obviously there will be like, so for example, you would have like a coastline and that would have some like parts of like frozen ocean or whatever, so it would be different than the coastline in nature region, for example, where there would be just a normal regular kind of beach, right, or something. So so in general, for the world design, the big influences are World of Warcraft. But also in terms of the art style, League of Legends is also one of the very important games for me, and Genshin Impact. The colors that they used, their concepts and stuff, this is like what we are inspired by to kind of create this world. There will be more to show on that soon, because we have actually started working with some concept artists recently, and they've actually started doing a really good job in terms of some concepts for the environments and stuff like this. So there will be updates on that. So that's that for the world. I mean, the structure of the world, that will probably be inspired by a game called Darksiders 2. So it's so Glyde is planned to be like a semi-open world game. where you have those big open areas, but you still travel from the area to area rather than like you can't go anywhere at every single point, but you can access the areas that you've previously explored. You can backtrack to them at any point as well. And that's also where this Metroidvania, I think that's how you say it, Metroidvania. Metroidvania aspect comes to play as well, where we want stuff to be explorable late game as well. So you might start in an area where there is something blocked by, I don't know, some vines that need to be burned, but they can only be burned by fire element. So you first need to get fire element, and then you can come back later, like 10 hours later, to that first area you just started the game in, to actually burn those vines, and then you can access a whole different zone, for example. So we want to make it so it's like a world that you can backtrack to. It's like semi-linear, but there will be different paths and options for you to take. So, one of the ideas, obviously this is not final, this is just something that we're kind of just experimenting with at the moment and thinking about, is that, you might be able to choose at certain points in the game, you might be able to choose, do I want to go to lightning region now, or would I rather go to the water region first, and do that, there are kind of quests and storylines. So
yes, so the main storyline in this sense wouldn't be completely linear.
Yeah. So it's not gonna be linear, but it's still gonna lead to like the same kind of
conclusion.
Yeah, conclusion in a way. So regardless of which order you do the things, you will still end up, at that kind of end point. But obviously, there might be some decisions that you would take during the gameplay that would affect certain things. So that is the origin. That's the original idea, but obviously everything can change, right?
I think something that could be very interesting to play with when doing this non-linear thing is like time. Like, how does time progress in the story? Like in the story. So if you, for example, go to one area first, you won't be able to help the other area. So like, what do they do while you're not there, for example?
Yeah, maybe if you come back later.
Yeah, so it's different because you arrived there later in the story.
Yeah, so it could be that maybe the corruption spread is greater because you skipped that area first, and then that area is a little bit more dangerous now. So it could technically maybe it depends how, if we also I would say it's. I mean, I think it's probably quite safe to say that we would probably be looking into like level system anyway, because if we want to have a semi-open world game, it would be logical to actually have some form of progression like this, where you put, so if you were to do this area at level 10, but you go there in the main quest as a level 20 character, obviously you would encounter level 20 monsters and stuff like this. Rather than having just one-shotting everything. But there's a lot of different things in balance that we will have to kind of figure out when the time comes with that. But yeah, I mean, that's the general idea for the progression. And in terms of combat, I mean, we're inspired by games like, obviously Devil May Cry is one of the big influences. But we also have different elements and like moveset ideas and stuff, like how we want the monsters to behave. It's actually inspired by like Souls games, so like Dark Souls and stuff. So the idea is for every enemy to actually have their own move set, and obviously they will all have their different kind of way of how they could be defeated. So like, for example, I think we're doing a good demonstration of this in a demo, where you have the swordsman, he has a shield, his shield has to be broken to get the window. I mean, you can break the shield with pretty much any element, but there are certain elements that deal more damage to the shield, and obviously this is the kind of the primary way to defeat that enemy. You have to break that shield first to actually stun the enemy and then have an opening. Even if there would be two different shielded enemies, like the swordsman, for example, in the demo, we still want them to have different moveset depending on like what weapon they wield, for example. So if you have a swordsman with a sword and a shield, he'll have different type swings than if we had a heavy armored big dude with an axe, for example. He might have to spend more time swinging that axe, but he will also deal greater damage, but might be easier to dodge. So, the idea is for every enemy to be, different, interesting, and, they all will have different moveset. So, it's
a different, it's a different interaction overall, and a different way you have to use your different utilities to deal with that issue.
Yeah, so, one of the things that I really like in, Souls games is that, yes, you could potentially run head-on and just try to attack every enemy and, spam them to death with your attacks. But, eventually you will encounter those enemy types that you have to, lock on them and stay back and see what they do, look at their patterns, work out, which swing is possible to dodge, which swing is possible to block. And then, you work out what they do, and then you know how to respond to their attacks. And that's what I think is quite cool. So it's not like you just, button mashing and getting rid of every enemy. You have to actually think a little bit sometimes to kind of, think during certain encounters. And that's what we also aiming with Glyde. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different games that are inspiring Glyde. Probably less Spyro and 3D platformer games that people would expect.
But there are some inspirations.
Yeah. But it's more like, the world, I think the only thing that's similar to Spyro is the fact that you just play as a dragon in a colorful world. That's literally the only inspiration. Oh, and maybe the guardian spirit, you got, rather than having sparks, like the dragonfly that helps you, Glyde has his a guardian spirit wing, which helps Glyde
cool
pick up gems and stuff like this. But other than that, story wise or combat wise, there's no inspirations from Spyro whatsoever. Right. Combat is inspired by totally different games. The world is also inspired by a little bit more serious games in a way, like World of Warcraft, or Final Fantasy and stuff like this. They have this a little bit more darker and serious tone in the world going on. That there is like for example, you're not gonna have characters constantly making jokes at the corruption. The corruption is a real threat for those dragons in this world, and they are in peril. They're not sure. They don't know what's caused this. They don't know how to fight against this, what to do. So you're not gonna have dragons just joking about the corruption all the time, like you would probably have in Legend of Spyro games, which was one of the disappointments for me when I finally gave it a go. It's like, there's this talk about this big bad, angry dragon that's threatening everything, and then they just joke about Cinder, right? And it's like, why? So it's
there's more
she's
to
meant
that.
to be. Yeah. She's meant to be a threat, and then it's like Sparks is calling her sexy. So it's like, okay, bro.
There's more to that story. You'll get to that eventually.
Yeah. But
you need to play the rest of the game.
I think it's that that's my impression from the beginning of the game. So it's so we start the game. And there is this big legend, you have those scrolls, and it's so there is this legend of this,
purple dragon
of darkness and stuff like this, and they're very powerful and scary, and suddenly they just show up flying over you on the screen. It's straight away, first minute of the game, and you see that dragon flying over, and it's why? It's I don't know. But so story-wise and stuff, we're gonna try to keep things a little bit more serious, although obviously there will be space for jokes and some dragons will be funny and stuff like this. But in general, the corruption and all the kind of undead roaming the place, it's it's not good, and it's kind of like an apocalypse in a way, because dragons are defenseless at this point. So we want to kind of make it that it is dangerous, and they are on the losing side, rather than be corruption, well, let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of explained a little bit about it, but so how did you start the production of Glyde? What were some of the first features added? So very beginning, so when you very first started, not current, but just the very start.
So I mean, probably the first features that we had was literally they were pretty much all inspired by Spyro. Yes, so that was a replication of what Spyro could do. and the
one-hit deaths and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, well, I can't remember if we actually had the one-hit deaths from at the beginning. I mean, probably for testing, yes. But I think this is always something that I didn't want to have in the game, so because I thought just Spyro, especially after playing Reignited, that just reaffirmed me that, you know, while Spyro is a cool game, it didn't age that well. And in terms of a gameplay aspect of it, I think it's just too easy and it's not really challenging at all. You know, like where pretty much everything just dies with one hit, and you know.
I think you also wanted the different elemental forms to have more of an, you know, unique effect on enemies.
So and obviously then we started adding like those elements. We started with the first 3, which were obviously lightning, ice, and fire. And then
I think wait. I think we had the four elements initially. There were 4, but nature didn't have anything, just auto healing.
Oh yeah, I mean it could have been that. Yeah, I know we definitely had ice and lightning and fire. That was for sure. I'm not sure about the nature if it was. I mean the nature was an idea.
Right.
I'm not sure if it was in the game. I can't remember. But yeah, it was always meant to be a healing element. So we started adding the elements, and once that worked, we then just kind of like, you know, went like, oh, why don't we add more? So we just started adding more, and you know, and I suppose this from there on, it just kind of was like a natural progression. You know, we just do things, and once things work, we like, so how could we make it cooler, and how could we expand on things, and we just add more features, really.
I think something that was really funny back then when I joined was that when we talked about the elements and how we wanted to actually make them work, you portrayed them as, you know, having 4 main elements and then this 5th element being like unique, like crystal, this special mysterious element, and immediately it just struck me like, well, that's Legend of Spyro. But the elements were just arranged a little bit differently, and then from there it also, I think I said it back then, that's exactly what Legend of Spyro does, and then it somehow turned into 8 elements.
So then we were like, so we need more then, because if Spyro has 5, why we need more. And then I mean we just kind of started testing things, you know, the movement and everything, and it kind of just, you know, evolved over time to what it is now.
Just a quick point. One of the early things that I think set the tone for how combat would come to be was lightning element. Lightning element was the first element that had like functional gameplay. Fire had a fireball and blazing impact, but it didn't feel like a complete package to any degree until volcanic wrath became a thing, and then meteor just added flavor on top of it. But lightning definitely set the groundwork for how
very first
how combat would flow.
You just asked my question. I was going to ask. So electricity was pretty much the first one then.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, I was going to guess fire, because everyone goes to fire first.
No, lightning was the first one that was developed. That was...
Dragons breathe fire, so we're going to do fire first.
Yeah, I mean...
everyone else.
Technically it was fire because of fireball. Because, I did a fireball first, and then some melee attacks and blazing impact.
But then, I mean, technically...
Then I went to do lightning.
Like the regular fire is a part of the actual... regular element, right?
Yeah, so regular form.
That was already using the fireball.
Yeah, so okay. we changed that up later to be more like a fire.
We wanted to have distinct breaths. So lightning was a good idea to go for, because
it was different.
Like in the Enter the Dragonfly, that was the one I played last. That was also one of the elements, and I kind of liked the idea of lightning element. So we did that, and then we just made it better.
Nice. Sapdash. I think Sapdash was a very good foundational move for the whole combat system, because you had this ability where you could, you know, zap around, move quickly between enemies, and even if the enemies couldn't do much back then, it was like, it felt good, that you could move, and the speed associated with the ability was just like nice and snappy.
Yes.
And then if you could instantly switch to another element and follow up with that dash in, then you can start to do combos. And I think that's where I wanted to go at least. And I think Velafor as well realized that we had something good here that could definitely turn into a combo fiesta or something.
Yeah, very important was to actually make it work with seamlessly in a way. Like,
yes, yeah.
Because in other games, like you switch, like if you have like something like elemental forms or a different form or a different stance and stuff. I mean, normally there is like a little bit of a delay, like you have to take out the other weapon or you have to do something. While here in Glyde, it's just instant. Just tap the button. There we go. You're in different elements.
It's style switching from Devil May Cry,
and we want to like make sure that it all kind of flows in a way, so you're not having any delays. We did test a delay, like element switching animations, and we also tested like a different particle effects. But yeah, it just felt weird. Like it had to stop everything for like even half a second. It just felt like eternity. So
it's like you wouldn't easily have access to your whole like kit in the second that you might need it, and it just felt like more of an arbitrary obstacle that wasn't really there for any reason. So yeah, we kept it seamless like that.
Yes.
So yeah, it just feels more it feels more like you're in control when you can switch to all the other elemental forms, like on a whim. It's really nice.
Awesome. All right, next question is, what was the first complete version of Glyde look like? Like very first everything. Because I know there's been several, so
I don't think you can call them complete, but
I mean, to be honest, I mean, the first Glyde that we had was literally just like a store-bought asset, which was like a placeholder model, just to have, just to have a dragon model, really. And I mean, that's that. We used that until we found like an artist. It was actually 1H's friend.
Yeah, same concept artist as the one who's helping me out for Leaf Shift.
Yes, yeah. So you were working on Leaf Shift back then as well, and you mentioned that you have a friend and that she could potentially give it a go to design Glyde. So yeah, I mean, we talked with her, kind of explained like it should be an orange dragon and like what kind of what features and what kind of design there is. I kind of have in the head, and like because for some reason I always wanted him to be orange or like yellow. I mean, some people argue he's more of a yellow dragon than orange dragon. For me, he's like an orangey, very bright orange dragon. But I don't know. But
yeah, that's gonna be the eternal discussion.
So she's basically did the design, and I think it was pretty much the first concept that she did.
Yep.
And that was like, wow, like literally it was like, I remember telling her like straight away back then. I was like, I don't know how you people like artists do it, but it's like, how is it possible that I tell you something like I explain thing and you can just literally just visualize it and you can like just make it like I wanted it to be like on paper, like how it's still the same. I'm always getting surprised with like different artists that work with us, like for concept arts or like artwork. It's like sometimes I don't have any reference or anything, and I just explain them like I want this guy to look like this, but it would be cool if he had 3 arms and stuff. And then they're like, so I just tell them those different weird things, and they just come up with like an awesome design. And I'm like, what? How is this possible? This is like what I exactly had in mind. Like this is perfect. And yeah, so the design just kind of felt like perfect straight away. So yeah, I paid for the design, which kind of sealed the deal, and then the next step was to actually find a 3D artist who will be able to make this model real, and that was another part of the journey.
You started talking about another question that I have here, and it was basically the original concept artist of Glyde and also who created the final form of Glyde.
So
So you just mentioned the concept artist, and then
a shout out to her. She prefers like going mostly anonymous, but she said that we could address her by Shayu.
Yeah. That was her original nickname as well. I think she had a few different nicknames. Over time. Yeah.
She switches it up a little bit.
yeah.
Yep. And that was actually from a video that you put on your YouTube channel that you explained all that as well.
Yes.
And then you talked about, so that was the concept artist of basically the current Glyde, and then you had a modeler that modeled Glyde.
So with the 3D artist, it was quite a journey. And so I started looking for an artist that could potentially help me out with the model. I did save up some money for that, and that was also thanks to Patreon, mainly because obviously it wasn't as big as it is now. I mean, obviously still it's not huge now, but at least now I can quite comfortably afford like some concept art from artists and stuff without actually taking money from my own bank account. But yeah, so I've saved up some money like from work and from Patreon back then, and then I started kind of looking. I thought, what could it be like? How much would a model like this cost me? Maybe $300 or something. It's probably not much, right? And then I started reaching out to different artists and people, and I've also reached out even to some like freelance artists that worked on Spyro because I was really curious how much would that be. Like, maybe I could, if I could get like Spyro quality model for Glyde, for like a couple $100, I could maybe stretch out my budget a bit and just get like AAA quality model. And I reached out to multiple different artists through Twitter and from ArtStation and stuff like this, and I got a little bit sad in a way because I didn't realize how expensive 3D models, especially good quality ones, are. Because the quotes that I was given from different people was like, they ranged from around 1,000 to 3,000 euros, which is like around 1,000, I guess, dollars as well, maybe more, maybe less. I'm not sure how it exactly converts. But anyway, it was way above my budget, and that was without the animations as well. So that was just the model with the textures, obviously high quality model, but and then I kind of like, I was messaging different people, and then I started looking for like less known artists. I was just like, I can't really afford this. This is too much. And then I stumbled upon Gavin, which is that's the current 3D artist who helps with Glyde and his skins and everything. And he his stuff is really good. Like if you go on his ArtStation, it's really, really good. And I've approached him, I explained the situation, I gave him the concepts and stuff, and he did me a deal. He said that just because he likes the project and he sees that I'm quite passionate about it, and it's like he wants to help out as well, but obviously he can't really do it for free, unfortunately, because this is like his job. He did me a deal, so it was like, I can't remember how much exactly it was without the animations, because I think for the animations I paid about 200, which is still also a good deal from what I've researched. But I will get to animations in a second. But yeah, I think overall, I think the model itself was about $600 or $700, which was still a really good deal compared to what other people quoted me, right? So I went with that.
Compared to thousands, yeah.
Yeah, and and since then, he kind of just he did the job, and not long after we kind of agreed on everything, and I sent the deposit. He gave me the first work in progress update, which was just amazing, like having the actual sculpt in ZBrush and see the dragon that that was also years ago, by the way. I don't know how much the dragon like this would cost now, so just don't go bombarding Gavin for like cheap good deals, I guess, because that was like 5 years ago or something. Well, maybe not 5 years ago. How old is Glyde now? 3 years? So I can't remember.
Something like that.
4.5.
Or it could have been even 5 years ago. I can't remember how long ago did we get the actual model. But yeah, it was years ago, right? And that was a really good deal. So, I'm really grateful.
February 2020.
I'm really great.
Yeah, it's probably been around 4 years now.
Yeah. But yeah,
3 years, 2020.
Yeah, but anyway, it was years back, right? So the prices were also different back then. So it might be, it might be more expensive or cheaper nowadays. But yeah, I'm really grateful to him for it to actually help me with this and do me something that I could afford. But yeah, anyway, so he did the model, and once he finished the actual concept, like in ZBrush, and I approved everything, he went on to texturing, and it just came out perfect. I think it's really, really good. Like the quality for the value, I think is just amazing. So then obviously we had to work out the animations. I think back then Griffin was part of the project still. I think it's just that was this time where you were like very, very busy, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like
I was in uni still.
Yeah. So it's just, and it was just like, not feasible as well to just do a new rig in Blender and then hundreds of animations and stuff. So I was thinking about like, what's the most cost-effective way of actually doing this and to save a lot of time. So I reached out to another person like Malburst Animations, who's actually making assets for Marketplace, like on and that's actually the same guys that made the original Marketplace asset that we've used as a placeholder for Glyde. So
this was the original Glyde.
So I reached out to them and I kind of like begged them, and I just kept messaging them every day. I feel bad doing that now, but like I kept like and they kind of denied me at first, because obviously they said that they're doing this for like, this is the job. They obviously, assets like this, they take a lot of time and work, and they're also expensive, and they're making them mainly just for the Marketplace. They don't do private commissions. But then I kept on messaging and begging and asking, and so we worked out a deal as well. They did it on one occasion. So again, don't go messaging them to do stuff for you, because they won't probably. But they kind of like agreed to help me out, and I figured it out, and that maybe it would be possible to kind of just use the new model of Glyde, but actually move the skeleton and the existing animations to that model. That the placeholder was using.
It's a very good cheat code.
Yeah, so we kind of agreed on the price, and they managed to kind of wait and move the rig and wait all the bones and everything, and move across pretty much all the animations from their placeholder asset pack to Glyde. So now we technically, so while not perfect, because there is still some, if you look very closely on the model, there is some warping going on in certain places, and they're like, some animations, they might look a little bit stiff on that model compared to the actual original model that those animations were made for. It does the job, and did the job, and we then had a very solid base, and we actually didn't even have to convert everything in engine, because we just use the same animations. We just selected a different rig and different new model with the same skeleton, and all those animations pretty much worked automatically straight away. So that also saved a lot of time and effort. So I'm really grateful to Malburst for kind of succumbing to my messages and be like, yeah, fine, I'll do it for you, just leave me alone.
Go away.
Let's just make this guy what he wants.
I did talk with them and chat with them every once in a while, like afterwards as well, and because they are making a really high quality asset. So if you're looking, especially if you're starting game dev and you want a good quality animations with good quality models with different textures and different various materials, plus hundreds of high quality professional animations, then that's where it's then it's really worth it. So you literally just
check out Malburst,
Malburst Animations, and then you can get their Wyvern pack, you can get their dragons, you can get their horses and everything, and they're just such high quality. And they're only like $70 or something. While that might sound expensive, it's actually not. For the amount of animations that you get, this is crazy cheap. The only disadvantage of marketplace assets is that, you know, everyone can be using them. That's the only thing. And that's why I decided to go for the original model as well, because, you know, people would just say, oh, it's an asset.
It's just another asset.
You just bought stuff off the marketplace, you just put it in the level and that's it, you know. So yeah, you know, so if you're looking for, you know, a good brand identity as well, and you want people to actually treat your brand and characters serious, eventually, you know, it's good to get an original models and animations and stuff.
Yeah, that's what you want for, you know, original character designs.
If you're just starting out, you know, there's nothing wrong with using marketplace models, and they are really good. They are really, really good. So yeah, so once we combined the two together, we combined the power of Gavin and the might of Malbers. We now have a fully rigged and modeled Glyde, which is great, and that's his current version and the current state in the game as well. So this is what we ended up with, and I'm really happy.
Awesome.
Yeah. And just on top of that, just a quick final mention is obviously Gavin is still kind of working with us. And based on Glyde's model, we've been able to do all those different NPCs, and that he was also the artist who made all the models and stuff. So it's really good.
Yeah. Props to Gavin.
Yes. Gavin is he's the MVP.
You know, that's really cool to hear about hear you talk about this, because I was watching through your YouTube channel where you explained a little bit about this, so to hear it in more detail is really it's really awesome to hear that.
Yeah, it's a long story. There's so many things like in the development. It's like, yeah, it's just it's crazy. I could be talking hours and hours on all this stuff.
This is why I wanted to talk about this here, because I was going through that your channel, and there's a gap like from the marketplace assets. I was like, wait a minute, what happened from here to here? There's a gap in between. You got to figure out this gap, and that's where a lot of people probably don't realize, like the progress. Someone can scroll around your YouTube channel and see that video, and then like, wait a minute, Glyde doesn't look like that. What happened? And here's the story.
Yes, that is the story of how Glyde got his original character design.
Yeah, and you explain most of this in your YouTube channel. So for people who are listening to this, go to Valifor's YouTube channel and watch these videos and explain. So you can actually put kind of a visual aspect of what Val's talking about right now, because you explain most of what you're talking about now in those videos as well.
Yeah, I think the videos are really good material to kind of get an idea of just what happened and getting some visuals on it.
But even then, like, a lot of people don't know about this, so this is why I want to get this on an audio platform as well. So great information, definitely great information of how the start of it.
Here comes a little side question. So yeah, Valifor, what do you think is this Glyde's final design? For
probably. I mean, well, obviously, maybe when we have a bigger budget for the full game, we could maybe revisit the model.
But it's gonna look like this, though, mostly, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you have a look at the concept art, maybe you could overlay it. You see that some facial features are a little bit different. It seems like I think in the concept, Glyde looks a little bit more mature, while in the current model, he's a little bit. I don't know, seems a little bit younger. I think that it's mostly like the mouth shape and stuff.
I think one thing I have always been thinking about is the eyes. It's more. I feel like in the concept art, Glyde is a little more expressive, and that could maybe be something we could touch in the full game.
The current model design is very limited in terms of like when you have character expression, you want eyebrow movement and stuff, but. Yeah, the current model is very much like, I guess, it's more solid.
I'm not sure. I mean, most of it will be the same probably, but obviously we might have to revisit the model a little bit and see, like, if there's some improvements that could potentially be done with a bigger budget. There is some things I want to change with slightly. I mean, so I would say probably there will be some changes. We don't know exactly to what extent yet. I know that we will definitely need to make a brand new rig and have full custom animations and stuff. So obviously, then we could maybe also modify the model a little bit as well.
We'll do some tests to see if the face works and stuff.
I feel like it would be very interesting to have Glyde, smile. give us a big fancy smile.
Like actually be able to make mouth shapes.
In terms of smile, I think it's mostly up to the brig, right? I think you could just assign certain parts of his mouth to actually be linked to like certain bones, and then I guess move those. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yes, me neither.
I mean, obviously. We'll see what happens, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, for now, I mean, this is the design I'm quite happy with, and it's just it just works. It's really good.
Yeah, he's such a good big boy, big orange boy,
or yellow, or gold. I've seen different
gold, yellow, golden yellow,
golden yellow. So this is another question that it wasn't written down, but I'm just thinking about it right now. But what was the inspiration for Glyde's tail?
That's a good question.
This is something we would probably have to ask. I don't think I said what tail he should have. I don't think I did for the artist. I think this is something that she just kind of.
Is it maybe based on the original?
I really can't remember. Oh yeah, I think it could have been. It could have been just based off the placeholder that we've used.
Which actually was a little different, yeah, because
it's a little different, yeah,
but it wasn't.
It did have a similar shape, though. I think so.
It was more like centered with frills on the side of it, or
yeah,
I guess wings on the side of it, if you want to call it that. I don't know what it would be called.
Yeah, I'm looking at an old video.
Yes, so I think it was probably that. It was literally just like she kind of tried to convert the placeholder and make it similar.
Yeah, I think Xiaoyu touched up on all the details and kind of just went creative mode. So yeah, Xiaoyu's creative take on the placeholder models features.
I approve the tail design because I am really big into aerodynamics. So to me, everything's got to look like it can fly, and this looks like it has aerodynamics.
Yeah, I would say this makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it's a good sail for flight.
And I love the fact that when you're swimming, he turns it vertical and he paddles.
Uses it to paddle. Yeah.
Yeah, that had to be done because I mean it just looked weird.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he use it to paddle? Yeah.
Next one is who was involved with the original Glyde team? Very beginning. So who was the very start, like early? Pretty much these two?
I think it was just us. Yeah, I don't think there was anyone else. I mean, Bolt King Cole, I think he deserves a shout out as well. I mean, he was part of the team at the beginning. He's a friend. He helped with some voice acting, and he was also a big help with actually getting like the voice actors on board for Glyde. He found he knew Glyde's voice actor Landy, and he also knew Luke, who's acting for Wing. So he was the person who kind of put me in contact with voice actors as well and stuff. And I mean, he still helps with the current project with with different kind of. He probably helps the most in terms of the voice actors and stuff, but also he has like a team of 2D animators who are also working on. They worked on because it's pretty much finished now. They worked on the intro animation that we teased on Twitter like quite a while back. I don't know if you've seen it or not. But it's kind of his like friends who are also doing with this. So he's been quite big in terms of putting me in contact with some important kind of people who are also helping with Glyde.
He also helped out with a little bit of not a little bit, but a lot of brainstorming very early on.
Yeah, some brainstorming and
story ideas. and such.
And the language. So we do have. We do have we have like a language in the alphabet, and he created the font for that as well.
Oh, cool!
So that language that you have on the tablets and stuff in Glyde, this is made by Bolt King Cole.
So it's an actual language. It's not just random scribbles. It actually.
Oh yeah. It's an alphabet.
Oh my gosh!
Surprise! Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's actually awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, what it means and how to read it, I don't know. I guess we'll have to figure it out. But yeah, so he was also the person who was part of the team. I mean, he's doing kind of like his own thing now, so we kind of like parted ways in a way. I mean, we're still in contact, and we're still like on good terms and everything. But it's just he's doing his own thing, and we kind of just working on some projects together, like those animation sequence that for Glyde that you will be able to see in the full game. Maybe there will be a patch for Patreons with that, but it is like a little bit spoilery, so I just don't know if we should. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Full demo, right?
I think it's better to just maybe put in a full demo, but yeah, we'll see. And then we also had Lawrence that I mentioned. He was at the beginning helping with different things. He helped us with
programmed Wing.
Yeah, he programmed Wing, and that was really confusing at the time. But he made him work, which is really good. But yeah, Lawrence kind of just disappeared, so I still don't know what's going on. So yeah, it's good. In terms of so I think that was it. So it was me, 1H, Griffin, Lawrence, and Cole, and then we had the voice actors join, Landy and Luke. And I think that's the original team. I'm pretty sure.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. So
started off small, but in the beginning, but of course it has expanded.
Yes. Yeah. And now obviously we have Mythic. She's the concept artist for all the NPCs.
Well, there we go. You just answered the next question.
Oh, there we go. See, well, it's like I go with the flow, and I don't even know.
You literally answered the next question. The next question was, who is the original concept artist responsible for the NPCs?
So yeah,
Mythic Art.
It's. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure if she wants me to mention her by name. I suppose yes, because that she's just using her name on Twitter as well. So yeah, it's Clara K. I think it's Clara K. I think that's how you say it correctly. Clara K. Campbell, and she's going by Mythic Art. She joined quite a while back as well, probably like 2 years ago or so. She's been helping with concept art for dragons mainly. She's helped with obviously where she designs all the NPCs, but also the primordials. She's the one who came up with the primordial artwork. We've only revealed one, the primordials. The nature, Lysandria. Right. So, and Mythic was the one to create that concept as well, which is just, amazing. And she did it for all 8 of them, and they're all amazing, really good.
Secrets.
Yeah. And it's just, it's crazy.
Big secret.
And then I can't remember if Mythic joined first, or was it, the UI artist as well. But we also have Tatiana, I think that's her name. I think she goes by Yuffie now.
I think she joined first.
Yeah, I think she joined before Mythic. Yeah, the UI artist. Yeah, she created all the UI for Glyde. It's amazing. It's crazy good. As far as I know, she's a professional UI artist. She works with some other games, and she's doing UIs for different mobile games as well. That's why all the HP bars, or the ability kind of UI
icons,
stuff like this.
The icon of Glyde.
Yeah, she's made all that. I mean, with the ability icons, they were also made by Novikovsky. I think she's called Novikovsky.
Right, Novikovsky.
So that's another person. It's getting a little bit convoluted, because we also in partnership with a Sonic Farm project. So we have a good relationship with them. I think it's called Sonic Chronicles Reimagined, and so they're also working on recreating Sonic Chronicles game, which is like really good apparently. I haven't played that game, but I've heard that it's a good game, and there's a lot of fans of that game. So yeah, she's the artist for that game as well, and she's offered that she could help with certain things for Glyde, so she's made me a couple images, and she's also the one who drew the portrait of Glyde that we're using on Twitter, and she's the one who drew like the original ability icons as well. But then we took those icons and then the Yuffie kind of like made them a little bit nicer in terms of like, because there was some colors that need to be adjusted and and stuff like this. So in general, the ability icons, they were
combination.
They were inspired by they were inspired by the original icons made by the Novikovsky,
yeah.
and the elemental icons, that's also from her as well. She was the one who drew all the elemental kind of crystal, earth, stuff like this, so that's still in the game. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of people that actually kind of contributed to Glyde, even though they're not working with us like constantly. We do have some like collabs going on in a way.
Collabs and freelancers.
Yeah. So there is some stuff that's overlapping between different communities and stuff like this. I think Landy is also the main voice actor for a Sonic Chronicles project as well. I think if he's voicing Sonic there, surprisingly. So there is a lot of stuff going on. But I think I mentioned everyone. And then also later we had Techno Cinema join us. He helped with some sound effects, and he's also composing some music for Glyde, as well as we also had another person who helped with music. That was Will Dodson, and he composed the soundtracks for Glyde, Lava Cave, The Day and Nighttime Forest. So that's his music. Yeah, that's his music. So he's also... Yeah, so I mean, there's so many people. I mean, as a part of the team now, we have about 10 people, I would say roughly, like who are constantly contributing to the game. But actually, over time, it will probably be up to 20 who helped with different things and pieces. So there is a lot of people that kind of contributed to Glyde. But yeah, as a part of the actual team now, we only have about like 10-ish, maybe 7, 8, 10 people. That's including the voice actors and the writers. I would probably need to refresh, because I don't know if I
it's many people.
Because there's so many people overlapping, and now like Mythic is not able to kind of continue with us because she's kind of pursuing a career and in a totally different field. So we also had to get some new concept artists to work with us. We're now working with 4 different other artists, and it's just crazy. There's so much stuff going on. It's like I can't keep up with everything myself. But yeah, I mean, so that's pretty much, I guess, the team.
There you go.
I went off track again, as always.
It's all right. Next question is kind of for Legendary. So, Legendary, when and what was the first NPC you animated for Glyde?
The first one we got was a Earth Dragon that didn't have any concept art.
That one.
I think it was just like, oh yeah, can we have an Earth Dragon kind of deal?
And then the 3D artist also was like, I can do something, which actually is a really cool design. But yeah, because we had no concept art, it kind of stands out from the crowd. You'll probably know which one it is. Yeah, you'll know straight away that one was a different, it's a bit of a different guy, he's like...
Yeah, it's probably the one that looks the most different.
Time to fire up Glyde, I'm gonna have to look. Speaking of that, and this is kind of off a tangent here, I mentioned on the second episode I was at 33 hours. I mentioned the last episode I was at 65 hours. I'm at 80 hours.
Damn, bro. Been playing more than the devs.
Whoa.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
That's a lot of playtime. Wow.
But yeah, so the Earth Dragon is the first one that I rigged and animated. Oh, actually, I could probably even go back further. I actually took the model of Glyde and started rigging that in Blender separately. Because I came in and was kind of like, this rig is kind of not great. Like,
it's like an abomination.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like it's you know, it's ripped from another model. But for Glyde specifically, like, there's no IK controls, which basically means you have to like manually adjust how the feet sit on the ground without having like, you know, it locked to the ground plane. And just things like that was really like weird to me. It was very reminiscent of old games. I don't know if you notice, if you look at like old Spyro games and stuff, if you zoom right in and look at the ground plane where the feet are, you'll see like characters slightly slide on the ground. And I think that's because, I'm not 100% sure, but it might be because IK wasn't really a thing in games for a long time.
Could have been,
yeah, because it might have been difficult to import into engines and stuff.
Usually you have the model just tilt on hills.
Yeah,
as well.
Pretty much. So I was trying to modify that, and in doing that I did a couple of like animations, like a walk and a run and an idle, looking a left and a right. And then we got the first NPC, and I was like, well, I have a rig. The model was based off the same rig, so all I did was like move that over, readjust the skinning and stuff. There's still a few like errors in the wings and stuff, which I think we might have to add more like loops to the wings in the final game, just so that the deformation is a bit more less blocky, because it currently kind of looks like sharp 90-degree angle bends. So yeah, after that I think the second one was the water dragon, the two frills.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
On the side, which was another challenge, because that's when we realized that one rig wouldn't actually work.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any turnarounds, which hopefully will change in the future.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, props to the 3D artist again.
Yeah, honestly,
because all he has to work with is the original Glyde model that he's made, and a concept of a neck upwards.
Yep, just a headshot.
Because just a headshot.
The others, that's really impressive. Yeah.
So yeah,
it is. Yeah,
and my explanations, because I just say, okay, so this dragon will have those kind of wings and those wings, and I wonder if I could find it, but I was drawing things in paint for him.
Oh no!
Yes, that is the highest production value.
Wait.
Yes.
There's original Val art. I gotta see this.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was like, so could this dragon have this at the end of his tail? And I'm making like a little image, like
nice little paint.
I don't know. I just don't know how people keep up with me sometimes. You know, I feel like, see, in my head it seems fine, but then I'm like, now I kind of think like I might be actually quite a hard client sometimes. But it's not annoying. I hope. I mean, yeah, I just spam bunch of different references, and like I say stuff like, oh, can we put some rocks on the end of the tail so they look like a mace, and then, you know, it's all verbal explanation.
I think it works just because you don't ask for more afterwards, like after they do it, so you're just kind of like, yeah, cool.
Usually you're happy with the results.
Yeah. If you kept pushing it back for like small minuscule changes every time, they probably would stop working.
Yeah.
This guy.
Tiny bits, tiny stuff.
Yeah, I also try to, you know, sometimes when you share updated art things with us, I really like, honestly, I really like 99.9% of the stuff that we're shown. But yeah.
But yeah, so if we had specific turnarounds and side profile shots, we would have been able to make dragons that could share a rig. But because the head shapes and angles were so different and the eye positions, it meant that anything we do, would just, like, the eye would be, like, so far away that the forehead would be blinking instead, or, like, the jaw would, like, attach to the upper part of the head, so then, like, the nose would drag down. So, yeah, it had to be modified every time.
Well, yeah. So, but obviously, we somehow make it work. I'm really grateful to the artists who are keeping up with me sometimes, because the way I think sometimes feels like weird, but
it's all good.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Legendary? Or are you good?
I think that's everything. Most of the animation stuff.
All right.
Quite a process.
Oh yeah, one little thing. I feel like it would have been very awesome if we could have, somehow made some Glyde's animations work with these NPCs, because we talked about at some point having the NPCs being able to fight a little.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I was wondering about that.
I think that's the main thing that prevents us from doing that.
Yeah. I think the in general, like, the idea will be that for the full game, we'll literally just recreate a new rig, and then new set of animations that should work with all the dragons. I mean, I'm sure there is a way of making it work for all the dragons, right? Even though they might have different features.
I feel like most people, like in the fan community, would really want to see the dragons, like other dragons, in action to some degree.
Absolutely.
So there will be I think the biggest change that will probably have to go under will be the rig change for Glyde and the NPCs and the animations. But obviously they will look amazing because everything is just really good. But it's like,
well, thank you.
But it's like, I think this would be like the massive jump in quality for everything, because we'll have tons of custom, we can have tons of custom idle animation, different like fighting animations and everything, and it's just gonna help a lot, and it's gonna elevate the whole thing, and it's also gonna make the process easier, as I guess, for everything else as well, and that's to do with the animation.
It also helps, like, I now actually have experience doing professional stuff, so I can redo all these a lot better.
So we're gonna have like Pixar quality animations in
dragon fruits.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel
the pressure is on.
Oh no.
I feel like a good example I always return to when I think like how would the animation feel like in the full game. If anyone knows Metal Gear Rising and the Blade Wolf DLC, or just Blade Wolf's moveset, the mechanical dog, it has like some really genius attacks with what's basically its tail, using a chainsaw blade.
That's cool.
Good grief.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool to make the animations a little bit more fluid, and like in general, I think it's just gonna be a massive upgrade. This is gonna be one of the things. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is replacing all the current animations that are used in different attacks and everything. Oh my god, that's gonna be
very fun.
I mean, to be honest, we'll probably have to redo most of the stuff anyway, because we want to move to Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll get there. We'll get there, but it's gonna be worth it, I'm sure.
All right. Next question. I'm gonna throw 1H under the spotlight now.
Yeah. What's up?
What was the first track you made for the start of Glyde? The very first one.
Oh. Hey, you know what? I got that one ready for you. Yeah. I came prepared. It's called Soaring. Like, you just soar. And it's like a very generic kind of level roaming music for like a bright, more happy, Spyro-esque home world. Because when Velafor got me on board, I was asked to do like some generic roaming track, something that could feel like Glyde, something you could just roam around to. And in the beginning, it sounded a lot like a Spyro track. I think I do have the old version somewhere. I don't know if we can put them into the episode, but
yeah, if you have it, I'll put that. I'll overlay it into the episode, into the YouTube episode.
I have the final-ish. The final-ish version, because we ended up not really using the track, because then I did Havoc in the Wilds one day, and that completely changed the style for the music. But there's the finished one, and
perfect.
But yeah, it's like a more relaxing kind of track.
Spyro theme, yeah.
Yeah.
It had a Spyro-esque taste to it.
Yeah, I think that's at least that's the first track I did before I did Havoc in the Wilds.
Awesome. It sounded really cool. It was like, wow, this is definitely Spyro related. I can definitely tell it has some Spyro vibes to it. It's like it's nothing like the Glyde track that it is now.
Yeah, I feel like it took quite a big turn.
Yeah, when I was listening to it from the YouTube video that Val has, I was like, wow, I think of Spyro. I'm not thinking of Glyde. And then you got your current tracks now. It's like, oh yeah, you definitely can think of Glyde. It's like there's nothing Spyro related whatsoever. It is original. Where that other track was, I can see you guys were going more towards that Spyro route.
Yeah, that's what the early state of Glyde definitely was like, and
which is cool, which is really cool. But I really like the way you guys went through it now, where it's like, okay, we're going original. I mean, Spyro is Spyro is Spyro. We like him, we love him, but this is Glyde.
Yeah, we wanted to do something new. It's time to do something different. Yeah, and
no more copying. Yep.
I usually I composed based on like feel and vibes of like what are you intended to kind of experience when going through a place, and then I try to augment that vibe through the music.
Right.
And I feel when we started talking about getting more active combat with combo sequences and stuff like that, I feel like that completely changed my perception of what Glyde was, and that's also why the music ended up becoming quite different. I think it's very important to just in general when working with games, making sure that people have the perception of the game that you want them to have, and then being able to tell that with music, for example, and even sound effects.
Sounds very important.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing for Glyde ever since then. Just trying to think what is Glyde, and how does both Glyde and also the player kind of feel in the moment when you go, for example, through a specific enemy encounter, or when you're just dealing with these. I also composed the track that plays when you do the elemental trials, for example. It was like, what does an elemental trial mean in the world of Glyde? And it's more like this mystic kind of a little bit uncertain event where you don't know exactly the outcome because you don't know what you're up against, but you also need to tame an element and kind of learn the abilities associated with it. So all of these things, I don't necessarily put words on them when I compose, but it's like a combined feel from all of those aspects is what winds up becoming the sound of each individual track. Awesome. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
I think it does. We'll see. If anybody is confused, blame 1H.
My bad. But yeah, music is very interesting. I like composing stuff.
That's something I really want to get into as well.
Yeah, sometimes it can be very difficult to come up with like a new idea for a track if I don't feel like there's something there, something to be experienced in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. So, for example, we have a lot of different NPCs now, and they all need to be different and such. So I'm thinking sometimes what how would I compose a track for one of the NPCs? And the answer to that right now, I feel like it's pretty difficult because we haven't completely fleshed all of them out yet. So I can feel that's really contributes to it being difficult to make character themes for other characters.
Hey, you should make a custom track for Koyde.
It's like a bubble version of.
It would be just an underwater theme from Mario.
Yeah. That would be pretty funny. Like.
It would be also really annoying.
I don't know if that's an underwater theme, but yeah.
Cool. Anything else with that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's it.
So this next question is probably the most important question. So in the beginning, there was nothing. Okay, no. So in the beginning, Glyde could fly. What the heck changed?
I mean, to be honest, that was literally just for fun. It was literally just testing if we can do it, and then we were like, it's not bad. I mean, it felt a bit awkward to control, but it's like, because obviously it wasn't like physics based or anything, it was literally just press a button and you can fly, that's it. So I mean, it felt okay. I mean, nothing impressive, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, it was literally just a test, like, how would it feel? But then, you fly around and then you kind of realize, oh, actually, why do platforming now? It's like, well, why do anything if you can just fly everywhere across, So it's like...
Yeah,
so pretty much the concept of it is, well, this is great, but...
Sorry for disappointing, yeah, but it's
This is great, but then what's the purpose of platform? Well, so here what you could do is you could put, like, the world is based around mountains and stuff. You could make wind shears, where they could blow Glyde down, where he prevents him from flying.
Yes, but
that's what Dawn of the Dragon did.
But then you also have this different aspect, and this is also something I've been thinking about recently, and I'm not sure like how much sense it makes. I mean, it does make sense for gameplay reasons, but it's like even in Spyro. So I even have problem with the gliding aspect. Like, so let's say you have a very high area with on like a cliffside, and there you can see a forest below you. Why can't you just glide there? Like, you wouldn't die, you don't fall from height, you just glide down. So it's like same like in Spyro,
You can get really, really far if you're just up high. Yeah.
Why would the dragon like die by falling in the pit if they can just glide down?
Right.
So this is like, it's just, so here is this like, we're reaching this kind of area where it's like, what's good for the game, what makes sense for the gameplay, and what makes sense for the actual game, like, so then this is also something that I've been thinking, like, what's the best way to tackle this in Glyde? Let's say we have those floating islands or something, and there's a big like let's say it's a big like pit or like have a huge, let's say you have ocean, right? But there you are on the cliff. Why can't you just glide into the ocean? And like, why would that particular part of ocean prevent you from playing and kill you, while the other part near the beach wouldn't? It's like, does that make sense? Like, how do we make it work? So it's just, to me, like, the flying aspect of Dragon games is the same, or like in any games, like Harry Potter is a good example. I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy now, right? And it's like, you actually have a mount, you can fly around on your broom and stuff, but then since I've unlocked that, I barely walked anywhere, and now I feel like, am I missing out on exploring the world on foot? Like, like, am I missing the journey? Like, it was cool to go into this village on foot when I had no mount, and now I just fly there and I just go over above the trees and the forests, and I'm missing all the detail and stuff that the game devs put in. So it's like, is this good? Is this bad? It saves me time because I get to places quicker, but it's like, I don't need to fight enemies on the ground. I don't need to do anything on the ground. I can just fly to my next objective. So it's like, I don't know, I'm not a fan of free flying, especially like early in the game. So I don't know. I mean, this is something that is like, it's just does it make sense? Does it break the game? Does it help with the game?
I feel like it very much it pretty much breaks platforming.
Fast travel is a different thing, but I mean, so yeah, it's like on the other hand, you have a fast travel, so you could fast travel anyway. But it's like, so here you have both in Hogwarts. You have both. You have fast travel and you have the mounts. So it's like, was there even a need for it? Like,
I guess it gives more of a choice rather than.
It's cool, and I mean, it fuels the fantasy of being a wizard or a witch, I guess. But it's like, like gameplay-wise, I feel like a lot of content now is like, I'm still doing like all the objectives on my map and all the markings, but I don't walk there, and I feel like I would explore the world better if I was actually just running around everywhere. But then it's like, you constantly have this temptation, like, you can just get on the mount, you can fly there. Same like in World of Warcraft, actually.
Yeah, you stop exploring on foot as soon as you can do flying mounts, yeah.
Exactly, because it's quicker, easier, and it's like you fly from point A to B, you do a quest, you fly back. You don't run, you don't get the perspective, you don't get the scale of the world when you're in the air and stuff. It's different. I don't know, it's a bit of a... Yeah, it's a weird concept for me. Like,
I think there is a very simple solution to a lot of those problems, at least when it comes to gliding. Stamina. Breath of the Wild kind of does that, where you can't glide forever.
Good point.
So if you're really, really high up, you just run out of stamina and... you fall down.
Well, I'm wondering, in Breath of the Wild, for example, are there places where you are very high up, like in the cave somewhere?
Yes, you can get up on mountains and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but let's say you're in the cave and there is a pit with water in that cave, and by you jump down and you die, or something, or can you literally just jump anywhere you want?
So you mean like you die from fall damage?
Or like like the... Well, yeah, like there's like in Spyro, right? You jump off the level and you glide, and then eventually you stop gliding and you just fall down.
Yeah, because you're out of bounds, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, but why? Why couldn't you just fly right up to the bottom of whatever is there, or just glide endlessly?
Yeah, that's...
does it make sense? Like, does it make sense to actually fall that much? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, in Breath of the Wild, you don't really go into caves. That's one of the funny things. There are not many cave kind of settings in that game.
Okay.
But yeah, you can run out of stamina from gliding, and then you just die from fall damage. Or if you're not high up enough, you don't really have many tools except glitches and stuff like that to get you out of a bad spot. If you, for example, want to glide from a tower that's sitting in a bed of lava, and then you want to get away from that place over to maybe a nearby cliff. If you mess up the glide, you just fall into the lava. That's also combined with the climbing mechanics. So
I like to see like the lore behind to why Glyde can't technically fly. I'd like to see some kind of... I don't know if you had that planned or not. If you have an idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, we know.
you know, yeah, okay.
We know.
Well, I look forward to knowing.
It makes sense. I mean, I don't know if it's something that people will be like, oh, this was obvious, or they will be like, oh yeah, I mean, that's the only logical way they could have taken it. But it's like, I mean, yeah, it's
I
different.
do have a theory.
Let's hear your theory.
Well, I don't know. Okay, fine, whatever. So, my theory is, and I was looking at the glide, the wing structure of Glyde, and to me, it looks like it's been cut. Like it looks like his.
No, that's already out the window.
Dragon fruits.
My thing was, I was thinking maybe there was like he got injured or his wings literally got cut and damaged, and he wasn't able to actually fly.
No physical.
Or maybe it was a birth defect or something, or a hatch defect, or whatever you want to call it.
It's different. It's like, you will find out. I suppose, I mean, you will find out in the demo even, so it's not like, it's not far off, but it's like...
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, you will find out why all the dragons can't fly as well, so maybe that, and then this is basically like the same reason, I guess. So, you'll see.
Or maybe the air is too thin on this world and they can't sustain flight.
Naji just decided to stop global warming and then not flying anymore.
All right, we'll take it to the last question. Character creation tool.
Yes. So that was an idea. Again, that was mostly an experiment. It was just, toying with stuff and ideas, like, to see if it's something that could be done. Where you could potentially, like, create your Glyde, like, modify him. Like, it would still be Glyde.
Make him your own.
Yeah, like, customize certain features, like, different horn shape, different color, maybe, different, like, size, adjust the size of the head, adjust the size of, the wings and stuff like this. Again, this is something that was purely an experiment. There's nothing planned for it at the moment, although, I mean, it's not out of the window idea yet. I mean, I think it would still be quite cool if there was a way for players to, to make Glyde, like, their own. But I think I'm leaning more towards, like, in-game customization rather than rather than actually changing the character, because then, it's like, it is different when you have, let's say you have Spyro, like an established character. Yeah. And then let's say you had a game that allows you to change features of Spyro, like, different horns, different everything. Would that new Spyro version still feel like Spyro to you? If you could change his eye color, you could change his eye shape, you could change his horns, different tail, different wings, it's kind of like...
The audience doesn't connect as well with,
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, it's also how you connect, to the character as a player.
And right? I mean, I suppose you technically, Spyro is a good example as well, because you have this character called Flame, right?
Oh dear, in A Hero's
Tale. It's basically Spyro, but it's just recolor with different, like, mohawk, I guess, or like different
I would say
horns.
It still feels like a different character, even if you only talk to him for such a short time.
But that's the thing. It feels like a different character, even though he's pretty much a Spyro recolor, right? So, isn't that
it's
like...
kind of what you want to do with the character.
It's like it's not Spyro anymore. You change the color, gave him different horns. Even though you can see it's based off Spyro, it's pretty much the same model. It's like, it's different. It's a different character. So I don't know if
I think it's also the dialogue.
I feel that maybe it would maybe kill a little bit of Glyde's character. I think it would kill him as a character in a way, like, be like, because I think it's better if he's an established character. Rather than be like, I don't know. Whenever I
think you can kind of think of it as a spectrum, where on one side you have stuff like World of Warcraft and Fire Emblem, where you can completely make your own character, and you don't really have, like, for example, in World of Warcraft, your character is just the champion.
Yes, but then I don't really feel like main characters of those games. Like a lot of games that I play, like Elden Ring. Yes, I am the chosen one or whatever. I am the main character, but it's like, I am the main character, but it's not like I'm not like very attached to my character or anything, It's not
and
like...
the character isn't really attached to the world. They don't really have a stake in the world.
Yeah, it's like the character is not made. They don't have their personality because it's up to you to make it, and it's like, yes, it's nice. I can play as a good guy.
It's like a empty slate.
Yeah, it's an empty slate, and then in the middle of the spectrum, you have something in between that's called Link from Zelda, where he's like, he is his own character, but you can still kind of control how he...
Oh, you mean Zelda
I guess that's because it's not like you can change, like, the character.
He's not a blank slate, but he's still not his own complete character,
See, like Zelda, why is Zelda constantly wearing the green jacket? Like, why?
That's good question. No one knows. But
exactly.
But it's that would be like the middle of the spectrum, where it's like it's kind of your own character, but also kind of not your own character. And then you on the furthest side of the spectrum, you would have like established characters like Spyro.
Why is everyone crazy about Legend of Zelda as well? Zelda doesn't even speak. He just goes and he's like, he hates pots.
His name is Link, by the way.
He's not even, like, his name isn't even on the cover.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding. I was just wondering if you're gonna realize or actually mention that I'm wrong.
Yes. Look, wait. You're playing The Legend of Zelda. Why is your name not Zelda?
I just love the meme.
It is a funny meme, though.
It's not Zelda, it's Link.
It's not Zelda, it's Link, actually.
Well, it's like, Yeah, so, but you have Link, and then it's like, I don't really attach to Link either. Maybe because he's kind of like mute character, just, I don't know. I suppose it's different.
I also feel that it's hard to connect with Link as a character, because he's kind of just like a hero.
He's kind of just
he's
there,
a hero.
Like,
yeah, he's kind of just there, yeah.
He's not even a hero that, like, he says stuff. He's more like a hero,
He's like a hero he's a representation of a hero. I think that's the right way to maybe address it. Yeah, he if you have like a myth or like some kind of tale, then he kind of represents that hero aspect without being an actual,
like a hero's tale.
Yeah, hero's tale. Hey, got him. But yeah, on the far side of the spectrum, you would have established characters like Spyro and any game whatsoever where you can't customize your character, but they just, you're playing through their story, and you don't really control their choices in the story.
Yeah, there's no like actual impact.
Yeah, where on that spectrum would you put Glyde? So like blank slate, kind of Link, where he's like half blank, not completely blank, or like a completely established character. I feel like there are those kind of three categories or something.
I like the concept of the character creation tool, but like you were saying, I think Glyde is iconic. Glyde needs to stay the same. I don't think having him being able to be customized really will make it the same. I think he needs to be that color.
There will be some forms to make Glyde your own. Like, I think there will be a good way to do it through skins, so you can have like different skins for different elements. So if you want your Glyde to be a green fire Glyde, you can have a green fire skin on him or whatever. But then in the end of the day, it's still gonna be the same character, just looking differently.
Yeah, it wouldn't be canon, I think, in the story that he has that different color, for example.
I think maybe that could be like a mod that can be unlocked or something, like once you complete the game.
I don't think we need to limit it that way, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it's just a matter of, you unlock a skin throughout gameplay. You do a challenge, you do an achievement, you unlock the skin, and you can just use it. It's just a visual.
It could also be like from an upgrade or something like that. That's the next thing. Yeah, do we also change skins like that based on upgrades?
Yeah, like if you fully upgrade like fire, do you get blue or?
Probably, I probably wouldn't change the colors or anything. Maybe a little bit more particle effects, or like make the skin glow a bit more or something. But I think the elemental forms will probably stay as they are. But you're gonna have, customization with armor sets and armor pieces, and also you'll be able to have skins for the elements independently. But then so if you want to have a nice, looking like you're a high level, like, fire element main, you can have a nice fire element skin with some sick fire armor on that, like, has some really cool visuals on there and stuff like this. But yeah, I don't think we'll be changing like the features of Glyde.
I think having cool helmets for Glyde would be very nice.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right, that was it for the questions. Is there anything from early stages of the game development that you want to add in?
Probably not. I'm glad it's over, then that we have a direction that we want to follow now.
Oh yeah.
I think that was probably the worst, because I mean like for example, it's the same like with the demo level. I had to remake this level like 10 times because I was never happy, and and now I'm I know what we kind of want to, what direction we kind of want to go for, and that's what we're doing. And it's good to know what we're doing now, rather than be like exploring constantly.
I also one huge like peeve I have from back then was the lock-on system. Do you remember Malifaux?
Yeah.
The old lock-on system that actually crashed the game randomly.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose this is also one of the things where we like, because we just use different plugins, and all of plugins are like, they're good, but they're like they work with themselves, but then they don't work with other stuff, and it's like, you know, they're all programmed in a different way, and it's just so I suppose if it was one of the lock-on system that we used originally was like a plugin, and that was just, it was fine, except we implemented it in Glyde, and then it kind of started it kind of started messing all the stuff up. So I mean, there was a lot of this stuff happening, by the way, like we were doing something and then it was just crashing the game and stuff. So eventually, you know, we started rewriting everything, and I mean, now with the knowledge that we have now, I think it would be safe to say that we can just probably just recreate our own systems now for the full game, rather than rely on plugins and stuff.
I kind of wondered maybe even for the demo doing a completely new log-on system, but I think the current one is good enough.
It's not perfect, but it's not worth doing it for the demo, I would say.
Definitely not. No.
Not at this point.
I talked a little bit with Shaggy about it, and it's like it always locks on to the enemy that's closest to you, for example.
That bugs me.
So, sometimes it can be annoying, but at the same time, it's also very useful if you know the system does that, because then you can immediately, you know, turn to face an enemy that's attacking you from behind, and even before they hit you, you just instantly can do blazing impact in their face.
Maybe have an option to like change it, so then there is the option.
Yeah, that would still involve recoding the things. It's
there's times where it still automatically changes, and it just it bugs me.
Yeah, it can be a little weird, but I think when you kind of get the hang of it, even in the demo, it's pretty good. At least
what if it like this is more like a final game sort of thing, is like because it's kind of what I guess the Spyro games did, where when you're like spamming the button, you kind of like face towards the closest enemy. But then if you like engage the lock on, maybe that's when it actually like locks onto like a specific target.
I think from a technical standpoint, I think that the thing it's missing is memory of the enemy you selected last. So if you lock off and then log on again, it locks to the same enemy.
Okay.
I think that's what most systems do, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But like if just because you log off and log on again, it doesn't switch to another enemy, unless you know.
I think in God of War, it's like whatever's in the center of the screen.
Right, yeah, it's also that. I think it's a mix of those two elements. It's like if it's far enough away from the center, it goes to a new enemy, but if it's still front and center, it remembers the one you had just selected.
Cool.
Assuming you want to hit that enemy again.
Yep. Awesome. Well, that's is that about it?
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the closeout of the show. First, listener question and feedback. We didn't get any, so send us an email, ask some questions. We will read in the show. Do it now. Please.
We're desperate.
Do it. So, we'll read it in the show. We'll give you a shout out for doing it. All right, closeout. If you'd like to send us a question or feedback, you can email us at glydecast@gmail.com, and we will discuss it in the next episode. If you want more information about Glyde, you can visit glydethedragon.com. We are also on Discord. Look for us in the official Glyde The Dragon Discord server. If you want to help support the game, you can also contribute through Patreon. Benefits include exclusive Discord privileges and early access with voting capabilities on game content, as well as an NPC with your own custom name and message. Links for all this will be in the description. Also, a video version of the show will be available on YouTube. Search Glydecast on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and we will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.
Ciao.
See ya.
Time to wake up. Ugh.
Wake me up.
Wake me up. Wake me up inside. Can't wake up. Wake me up inside.
Save me. Oh, jeez, I wish I had your energy right now. Okay, real quick before I start, though, Eliza pointed this out, and I want to ask your opinion. The episode title is The Birth of Glyde. Should that be changed?
The Hatching of Glyde.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest. So we've done. No, I just had to drink because I have my water bottle here.
It's like you took a massive juicy bite out of it.
No, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Well, so it's like.
Welcome back to Glydecast. This is
Dragon fruits
already. I just was like, wait, do I want to do this?
Cut.
Okay, yes. No, I completely screwed that up. All right, I will do the episode. Yeah. Welcome back to Glydecast. I am your host, not Valifor.
And I am Valifor. Sorry.
Dragon fruits.
I had to.
See, I paused because I wrote my actual name. Like, you know what? No,
Dragon fruit.
I'm not going to read that. That just sounds weird. All right. Question 1.
Fire away.
You explain.
Dragon fruits.
Question 1.
Bleep.
You.
That's a dragon fruit right there.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, I'm not the first one. Eliza, you're completely innocent now. Or Legendary, you're completely innocent. What?
Stealing my job.
I mean, technically, didn't she swear before we started recording?
Whether it's,
I think she did.
I don't know.
Early birds.
I can't keep track anymore.
Just needs to secure the first dragon fruit.
How about this?
Dragon fruits.
There we go. Got more.
Drag. Yeah, how's that gonna work?
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
We'll leave it to him to figure it out.
I'll figure it out. All right. Question 1.
But he made him work, which is really good. But yeah, Lawrence kind of just disappeared, so I still don't know what's going on. So yeah.
Hey, quick question. Val, are you clicking mouse?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm hearing.
Oh,
that.
can you hear it? Okay.
I can, yeah.
I'll try to not click the mouse.
Like, it's fine when it's fine. You're not talking because I can mute that, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to mute that.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Oh,
so like this is one of the concepts. I was like, so why won't we make a tail like this?
Oh no.
But it works. I mean, he made it work well.
He did. It exists.
Yeah.
For the water dragons.
Yeah, surprisingly, I know exactly what tail that is. Yeah.
But
this is the lightning dragon tail sting.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, that's really good, actually.
Different concepts.
Oh, love it.
Ooh. It's quite well drawn.
Never before
considering
seen.
It's just like.
But then, to be honest, then I just resorted to looking at World of Warcraft weapon models and just take this part and put it on the tail. So like this.
Yeah.
Like you might recognize.
Yeah, they might recognize some of the weapon models. Having some references.
I don't know if I'm burying myself here, but you might recognize this on one of the dragons.
Oh, yes!
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Wonder where that came from. Let's see. Never would have guessed. Well, see, I didn't play that game, so I wouldn't have known.
Or
it's a good inspiration.
This is an example of this is of the chin of the crystal dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see? So,
I love it. It's like the most simplest thing. It's amazing.
yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and we will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.
Ciao.
See ya.
Bye.
Done.
It's like
we ended it
a
like
Dragon fruit.
Teletubbies.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh.
bye everybody. Bye.
We're like goodbye.
Dragon fruits.
It's okay.
Bye.
All right. No, please stop.
It is.